Hello everyone. Today we're going to look at our editing practice activity, which is using Time Rewind. Time Rewind is a radio broadcast, and we are getting the audio from that radio broadcast. And what we are going to do in this class is we are going to practice our editing skills by using the radio broadcast audio as a guide for what exactly it is that we are going to be editing and put together. So before I get going into the specifics of this assignment, I would like for you to take a look at what a Time Rewind episode should look like.
It's Time Rewind for October 16th.
A new contender joins the nuclear arms race on this day in 1964 when the People's Republic of China successfully tests an atomic bomb. In 1966, with the Vietnam War raging, folk singer Joan Baez is among more than 100 draft protesters arrested in Oakland, California. New Yorkers are amazed on this day in 1969 as the Miracle Mets overcome 100-1 odds to win their first World Series. Musically speaking, Grace Slick joins Jefferson Airplane on this day in 1966, contributing her unique sound with songs like Somebody to Love and White Rabbit. Fast forward to 1976 when Rick Dees quacks his way to the top of the pop chart with this single.
Born on this day, the man synonymous with the dictionary, Noah Webster, and a couple of folks whose careers require the spoken word, actress Angela Lansbury and actor-director Tim Robbins. That's Time Rewind. I'm David Mendel.
So as you saw in the example video, Time Rewind is a history and pop culture time machine that takes us through various events on a particular day in history. So when you do this project, you'll be assigned a date, and you'll get both a script and a MP3 audio file to work with. And what you will do is scour the internet, finding images and video of that event or those people in action, and then you are going to put them together elegantly and creatively to create a Time Rewind video for our class. When I'm grading this assignment, what I'm going to be looking for is your ability to elegantly and creatively use all of the editing skills that we have learned in class. So at this point in the school year, that means that you should be able to transform both images and video. You should be able to use text in creative ways, and you should also be able to use masks. So if you're paying attention to the video that you just watched, you will have noticed that I incorporated all of those elements into a video, and I expect you to be able to do so too. So when you are setting up your project, I think the most important thing for you to do is take a look at the script. So if you look at the script for October 19th, you'll see that it starts out with a song, and then it runs through some historic events, and finally closes out with some famous birthdays. So when you are looking for these things on the internet, you need to pay attention to what is being covered. So for example, the first thing in the video is 1964, the People's Republic of China successfully tests for an atomic bomb. And so in this case, all you need to do is type in 1964 China atomic bomb, and you can find all kinds of videos on it and pictures of it. Similarly, for 1996 Vietnam War raging, you can look up Joan Baez arrested, 1966. So this is quite a good thing for you to practice your research skills as well, because it's not just taking words out of context and trying to find something related to them. You want to find images and video of that thing that is being covered in the script. So if we go back to my video here, you'll see that I start out with a clock swinging, and I masked the clock. I masked the image, I should say. And if you look at the image here, you'll see that the mask is moving or transforming along with the clock, and it is wiping the time rewind logo. So you don't necessarily have to do this exactly, but this is just a cool way I found to begin the video. So right off the bat, you see that I'm transforming an image and I'm masking a different image, and I'm using text. So just in the first 5 seconds of the video, I've already used all of these skills that we have learned in class. And then as we scroll through here, you see that I've edited various clips from a video. For this video over here that I'm highlighted, I use something called the Ken Burns effect on the crop. And so when I pull the video here, when you use the Ken Burns effect, what you can see on the outside of the screen is a green box. And in the inside over here, you see a red box. And when you use the Ken Burns effect, this is really just like a zoom. So when we actually watch this video, you see that the video zooms in from the outside green box to the inside red box. That's a cool focusing technique that a documentary filmmaker, Ken Burns, uses. And in the film biz, I suppose they call that the Ken Burns effect. Also, for Joan Baez getting arrested, I found a video of her getting arrested, and then I simply transformed text to follow across the screen so that a viewer can see who Joan Baez is. Then when we get to the Miracle Mets, I needed to have something in the background because back in the late 60s and early 70s, and even through to the early aughts, in fact, TV was square, not widescreen. So when you take clips from history, you're going to find that your clips are not going to fill your screen, in which case you see down here, I have inserted a background generator. I don't want to see any just black spaces on your video projects. You need to find a way to constantly have something on the screen. Or you can see, as I did with the Joan Baez image, I simply had it fade on top of the footage of her getting arrested, so that even though there's a still image on screen, you can still have the original footage in the background. So you can alternate between putting images on top of video, or you can use a background generator like I did here. And then that way you can have square video on top of a background generator. And then from there, you can fade in full frame images. Speaking of full frame images, if you want your image to fill the whole screen, then what you need to do, if you scroll all the way down, so you can see over here, I have this image selected. If you scroll all the way to the bottom of your inspector area, you can change this to fill or none, but depending on the size of your image, you want to make sure that you select the correct type of spatial transform, because otherwise you'll be left with black bars around your screen, and you don't really want to do that. Another thing that I wanted to do is every time there is a song playing, I used the pointer list text to drop in the title of the song playing, the name of the band, the record of the song being released, and of course the year the song was released. I didn't do that for the Jefferson Airplane song because they do have that information on the video that I got. For the other video that I got, Disco Duck, that didn't have the record name and date and all of that on it, so I just put a pointer list text on here so you can see the song is called Disco Duck, performed by Rick Dees. The record name was Disco Duck, and this was released in 1976. And then finally, for the birthdays, I'm doing 3 things here. So you'll see I have my background generator, but I didn't really need it. But on top of the background generator, I have this image of a Murder, She Wrote book. I'm going to turn this off. So you see over here, I put the Murder, She Wrote book, and then I put the text telling me the birth date of Angela Lansbury. She's still alive, so there's no death date there. You see the same thing for Tim Robbins, no death date. But Noah Webster, he definitely died a long time ago. So anyway, coming back to Angela Lansbury, what I did here is I created a mask off to the side over here, and then I layered in a reference to what she's famous for. If any of you have ever heard of Angela Lansbury, probably not. She was in a very famous TV show back in the 90s called Murder, She Wrote. So I put the title card of Murder, She Wrote over her shoulder in the background. I did the same thing over here for Tim Robbins. We see we have a picture of Tim Robbins, and there is a mask going off to the side here, which then reveals the poster of a movie that he's very well known for. That's actually one of my favorite movies. If you haven't seen it, please do. It's wonderful. So that's Tim Robbins, and again you see his name, his date of birth is a picture of Tim Robbins, and then in the background here I masked in a image of the movie that he's famous for being in. And then finally, for my closing screen, I have the Time Rewind logo, and then I masked in again Mr. David Mendel, who is the voice of this assignment, and then both of those fade out to the school logo, and that's the end of the video. So as you look across my workflow here, you can see that I'm using transitions, I'm using cuts, I'm using markers to mark my points, and of course I'm doing all the things that I taught you, which is using transformations, using masks, text, images, video, the whole lot. Now, of course, the tricky part is getting the images and video. I will show you how to get video in class, but for images, it's just a very basic Google image search that I did, and I simply, like here, I looked up the Murder, She Wrote logo, I clicked on this image. Now you'll see over here, this one is 400 by 300, and this one is 955 by 719. So actually, I wanted the bigger image, and then you do a 2-finger click on that image, and you open image in a new tab. And there you go. And now I can save this image. And of course, as I've repeatedly told you to do in my classes, you need to make sure that you create a date for the folder, and then you save all of your images and video in this folder. These are all the things. Look how many things I have here. These are all the things that I downloaded to use in my video. If you just let things drop into your downloads, and you see my downloads is clean. If you let your things drop into downloads and your computers are used by multiple classes over multiple days, it is going to get messy. And that's why I keep telling you, you have to create a date folder and save all of your work into that date. That way, when you start your project, you'll see over here, I started this project on the 9th of October. And so you do that by going to File, New, and Event. And when you create a new event, it also gives you a project, which you also need to name. I've seen way too many projects uploaded that are just untitled. That is unacceptable. So if you haven't gotten into the routine of creating a new event for the day that you're working and naming your project and having a folder where everything is saved, then you really need to start doing that, because otherwise you're going to find that you're going to lose stuff and lose a lot of time on this assignment, when ultimately, if you just follow the workflow that I've been showing you, it's not that difficult. It really isn't. So you're going to be graded according to your creativity, your ability to get your timing right. The things that are on the screen need to represent the things that are being covered in the audio. You also need to use all of the editing techniques that I've taught you over the last 9 weeks. And that's really what this assignment is all about. This is you practicing your editing. And I want everyone in this class to just get used to editing, following a script, following the audio, make sure that everything lines up and looks good. I think the biggest weakness I've seen in our assignments thus far this year is just precision, just sloppy editing and sloppy precision. And I think that we just need to practice more. And this is a great way to get your practicing going by using a script that someone else is performing, and then you just have to match what is going on in the audio to the screen, which is what we did with our lesson showcase video. I have faith in my students to produce some good content, and I'm looking forward to seeing you creating your own content and showing me how wonderfully you can manage your skills in a creative and productive way.